Indonesian capital of Jakarta is on the edge. Hundreds of students are protesting in front of the parliament buildings and they are demanding action against lawmakers' perks and police brutality.
Indonesia, once hailed for democratic resilience and economic growth, now trembles under the weight of its people's anger. What began as scattered dissent has swelled into one of the most sustained protest waves in recent history. Tonight, we take you through the roots, the voices, and the uncertain road ahead. The first sparks came earlier this year. Parliament pushed controversial amendments to the TNI law, laws critics said would blur the lines between civilian and military rule. Students, the heartbeat of Indonesian protest history, marched. Some even stormed the Fairmont Hotel to disrupt closed-door discussions on the bill. But by August, discontent shifted focus. Revelations of parliamentarians pocketing lavish Rp 50 million housing allowances, almost 10 times the Jakarta minimum wage, spread like wildfire. To many, it was proof that the political elite were living far above the ordinary citizen. And then came the tragedy. Afan Kurniawan, a 21-year-old gig worker, struck and killed by a police vehicle during demonstrations. His death became more than a headline. It became a symbol, igniting rage across the nation. From Jakarta's bustling avenues to the coal towns of Kalimantan, protests spread like wildfire. University students linked arms with gig workers, trade unions, and ordinary citizens. For the first time in years, disparate groups moved with a single voice. But the state's response was swift and unforgiving. Thousands detained. Dozens killed. Tear gas filled the air in Bandung, where police even fired into university campuses, violating sanctuaries of learning and sparking outrage from rights groups nationwide. Instead of quelling unrest, these tactics hardened resolve. Protests grew larger, bolder, and more unpredictable. In the chaos, a unifying manifesto emerged, the 17+8 demands. 17 urgent calls, paired with 8 long-term reforms. Protesters demanded accountability, an end to corruption, curbs on military power, respect for human rights, and above all, economic justice. These demands were more than slogans. They became a people's charter, passed hand-to-hand at demonstrations, shared online, read aloud in crowded streets. For many, it was the first time they saw a collective vision for an alternative future. In Pati, Central Java, the anger took a different form. Tens of thousands protested a staggering 250% property tax hike. Entire families filled the streets, forcing authorities to back down. A small victory, but a reminder of people power. As days turned into weeks, escalation was inevitable. Government buildings torched, political residences looted, streets littered with debris and smoke. The government painted these as acts of anarchy. Protesters countered. This was desperation after years of being ignored. The violence raised a chilling question. How far would the state go to preserve control? Human Rights Watch condemned the crackdown, urging transparency in deaths and detentions. But for many on the ground, trust was already gone. Indonesia, a country of more than 270 million, seemed suddenly fragile. Not just its institutions, but its very social contract.
A shake-up in the Indonesian government, President Prabowo Subianto firing his finance and security ministers, signaling a major shift in cabinet strategy. The reshuffle coming after 2 weeks of deadly protests across the country. The well-regarded Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati has been replaced by Pabaya Yudi Sadiwa amid fears of an economic slowdown in Southeast Asia's largest economy.
And then a dramatic turn. President Prabowo Subianto reshuffled his cabinet. Sri Mulyani Indrawati, the finance minister praised for discipline and reform, was abruptly dismissed. Her replacement, economist Pabaya Yudi Sadiwa. Mulyani was more than a minister. She had shepherded Indonesia through global crises, stabilized markets, and championed reform. Her dismissal rattled investors, shook confidence, and raised alarms about the government's priorities. Compounding the shock, her own home looted during protests. Was this a symbolic strike at the very heart of Indonesia's technocratic establishment? The reshuffle also targeted the coordinating minister for politics and security. To some, it was a gesture of accountability. To others, a dangerous gamble that could deepen instability. Indonesia now stands at a crossroads. The protests are no longer a wave, they are a reckoning. The 17+8 demands are not simply wish lists, but declarations of dignity. The government faces a choice: to suppress further, risking bloodshed and global condemnation, or to listen, to open dialogue and embrace reform in a way that could heal a fractured nation. For now, Indonesia's streets remain restless, its people remain defiant, and its democracy, though battered, remains alive in the chants, the marches, and the unwavering demand to be heard.